This is Coogan Cassius Fry from London. We're at the Europa Hotel here in Belfast for the weigh-in for Unfinished Business. With me, I've got promoter Eddie Hearn. Wow, what a weigh-in. Kiko Martinez and Carl Frampton.
That's why we love coming to Belfast, Coogan. You know, you had over 1,000 people in here just for the weigh-in. Atmosphere fantastic. Martinez is up for this, you know, he looks in great shape. It was quite funny seeing a trainer and Barry McGuigan. Barry McGuigan, I thought he was 25 again, you know, but it's all right. It was just the right amount of aggro to keep everything respectable, but realise there's a lot on the line, you know, for both fighters. This is a massive fight. The undercard is absolutely stacked. I'd go as far to say this is the biggest but best show I've ever put on from top to bottom. You know, there's 11 fights, so much variety, but that top one's really, you know, becoming more and more mouth-watering by the moment. First the press conference yesterday, and now the weigh-in. Just can't wait.
Now, you know, obviously, you know, I've been to a lot of weigh-ins, and I think aside from probably FROCH, Boutte, Chisora, turnout-wise, has absolutely rammed here. The Belfast public have really come out to support the weigh-in today.
Exactly, and like I said, that's why we like coming out. I mean, we had the darts here last night in the Odyssey Arena. We had 7,500. We're going to have 7,500 at the boxing tomorrow. You know, it's virtually back-to-back events. They love their boxing, they love their sport. But they really get behind their fighters. You know, Frampton sold a load of tickets. You've got Conlon on the undercard who sold a load. Lindsay sold a load. You know, and of course Andy Lee against Fitzgerald. They've brought plenty up from Southern Ireland as well. So it's just a brilliant night of boxing. And you know, I said to Adam Smith before, and you look around, you never really see this kind of passion at a weigh-in. I mean, you've got to remember what this is. This is a European title fight. It's not a world title fight, it's a European title fight, and we're seeing the response we're getting. 7,500 in the venue, thousands at the weigh-in. When it kicks off over here, in terms of, you know, fighters becoming superstars, it really kicks off. And you've only got to open the papers today. There's 3-4 pages in each paper about the bill, and we never get that back in the UK, only for the monster fights, you know. So when you come here, boxing feels like a massive sport again, and that's why we love to come.
Okay, moving away from tomorrow's show, Carl Froch, Kell, officially, are the tickets now all gone, or have you got some VIP packages left?
We're holding a very, very small amount. I mean, talk about hundreds back for undercard fighters, because any fighter that's on the undercard, I want them to be able to have some tickets for family and friends and supporters. But you know, we're set up for around 17,000. I would say 16 and a bit thousand have already gone. So in answer to your question, if you're asking if more are going to come on sale, the answer is no. There are some VIP packages available from matchroomboxing.com, but again, a handful. So, you know, and listen, the problem you've got is, for huge events like this, there's no way of policing things. You know, you can come up with ideas after the event, stuff like that, but generally, if people want to buy tickets and resell them, it's very easy for them to do so. And when you get an event of this size, that's what happens. Whether it's a pop concert, a comedy concert at the O2, that happens. And listen, I've seen a few people selling like ringside seats for $5,000 a pop online. They're not going to be sold, and you know, sometimes they haven't even got the tickets, by the way. They just see if they can do that and then buy them on the black market. So it is frustrating, but you know, it's difficult, because to be honest with you, I didn't expect it to sell that quickly. I thought we might do 8, 9, 10,000 in the first day. We sold out in 2 hours, you know, and there was drips and drabs left after 2 hours. But I mean, generally it was sold out after 2 hours. And again, you know, it's disappointing when you see people selling them on, because you want boxing fans to get the tickets. But you know, that's a problem you face with all major events. I wish we had that problem every event, you know. But you know, it just shows you what a huge fight is.
Looking back on it now, do you kind of wish that you'd perhaps look for a bigger venue?
Not really. People keep saying that, but what you got to remember is that a bigger venue is logistically very, very difficult. Whether it's the weather, whether it's the laying the pitch, whether it's finding a venue that can comply with that date that we wanted, which was the Champions League final on May the 25th. But as a promoter and from a business sense, the gross revenue of the ticket sales at the O2 Arena is kind of in line with 25,000-30,000 at an outdoor event. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not being lazy. I want as many people to come to the show as possible, but I love fights in big arenas. I don't really like outdoor events. I think you lose some of the atmosphere, you lose the intensity, and that's what we're trying to create to help Carl Froch go and win this fight. You know, when you look at the O2, 17,000, 18,000, I didn't expect, I knew we'd sell out, but I thought it might be a week, even a month or so before everything went. But, you know, it shows how big Carl Froch has got. He's the biggest fighter in the UK bar none. And it shows how big the fight is with KESSLER. You know, and it's, you know, we've got 4 months to go. You can't buy a ticket. It's a massive, massive fight.
A few people on Twitter I've seen moaning about the fact that it's going to be box office pay-per-view. What's your response to this, to the people that have been giving you a little bit of whatever on Twitter about this?
Well, listen, I understand it. I mean, it's, you know, you're talking about probably a dozen people or so that have mentioned it, and I think generally most people understand that it is a pay-per-view fight. Why is it a pay-per-view fight? Because the money is not there to make this fight happen without pay-per-view. And it's all very well people saying, oh yeah, but Sky pay billions for the football, and, you know, boxing is not football. You know, there's a set amount of budget for each individual sport, and it's not a case of just pulling up a load more money to make the fight happen. If I could make this non-pay-per-view, and I had that option, of course, I'd make sure as many people could watch it as possible. But if it's a choice between the fight happening and the fight not happening, I'm going to make the fight happen, whatever I have to do to make it happen, and it is pay-per-view. And the only people that I can tell to say to that small minority that are saying that is, I'd rather give you the opportunity to buy it than not make the fight at all. And the other thing I'll tell you is, if there was one person that deserved the pay-per-view fight, and if there was one fight that deserved to be the pay-per-view fight, it's Kell Brook, and it's Kell Brook versus KESSLER. Because this bloke has knocked his cods out all over the world, fighting the very best time and time again. And only in the last year and a half has he really got the recognition he deserves. And he deserves this night, and he's going to go out there and he's going to beat KESSLER. And you've seen from the ticket sales, to sell that many amount of tickets in the first 2 hours means that it's going to be a massive fight, and a massive fight on pay-per-view. You know, but again, I understand. You know, listen, it's not the best time economically, but again, it's a case of, do we want this fight to happen, or do we want to lose it? And do we want to, you know, do we want our top fighters in these mega fights to have to go abroad and have a disadvantage, you know, in these huge unification fights? The answer is no. So if it means pay-per-view, it means pay-per-view. And it's not my place to talk about policies of Sky, but this is not you know, firstly, they never left pay-per-view. There was no fights out there in the last 15 or 18 months that deserved to be pay-per-view or warranted pay-per-view. And two, is it a return to pay-per-view? Not at all. It's a fight-by-fight basis. And is there another fight out there that's pay-per-view? Brook Khan, maybe. I mean, but other than that, Fury, Hay, British title fight, you know, this is the only fight that stands out as a true pay-per-view fight. But again, I wasn't prepared to lose this fight on, you know, by saying, no, actually I don't want to do pay-per-view, you know. And it's not, it's a no-brainer to make the fight. But if we had the choice, of course it wouldn't be that way, but it is that way. And, you know, it deserves to be a pay-per-view event, and it is a pay-per-view event, and plenty of people are going to buy it. And, you know, good luck to Kell Brook, good luck to KESSLER. You got a choice. Don't have to buy it, but if you don't, you're going to miss a great fight.
Kind of overshadowing the Kell Brook KESSLER press conference the other day, the news that Gavin Alexander pulled out of his IBF world title fight with Kell Brook. Been a lot of confusion since then. Floyd Mayweather's tweet to say that negotiations are at a stage where Gavin Alexander's the front runner with the IBF champion. Gavin Alexander is in contention for that. What is actually going on with this, Eddie?
It's a lot more simpler than it looks like from the outset. And so the situation is, I woke up morning from getting back from Copenhagen after FROCH KESSLER to see that I'd already known about the withdrawal, but when I got back from Copenhagen I saw the tweet from Mayweather to say that it looks like Gavin Alexander. The tweet looked a little bit strange to me. It looked like half a setup, you know what I mean? So I thought it was just a play to make Guerrero sign a little bit quicker, which I think we've since found out it is. First thing I did was spoke to the IBF and studied their rules intensively, and Lindsay Tucker and the IBF told me straight away, no, Kell Brook is a mandatory challenger, the contracts are signed with Gavin Alexander, he fights for the world title next against Gavin Alexander, and if he doesn't, if Alexander takes another fight, it's a vacant title. Now when you sign those contracts, you lodge those contracts with the IBF, they tell you no fighter can take a fight in the meantime. If they do, they forfeit their position, i.e. Devon the champion or Kell the mandatory challenger. So where are we now? I spoke to Richard Schaefer last night. I believe they're trying to pair it with Garcia against Judah in New York, potentially in April. But, you know, we're ready. Kell's ready. He's coming here tomorrow night. It's frustrating. He's ready to go, but it's boxing. And I said to him the other day, look, in life terms, it's not the end of the world. I know you're ready and I know you want to fight, but in the grand scheme of life, in terms of health and your family and your kids, the things that really matters, everything's fine. It's just you've got to wait a little bit longer to become world champion. So I'm pushing. You know, one of the big concerns to me is obviously people that have booked flights. I think they've got to know early next week to change their flights. So I'm hounding Golden Boy non-stop for dates. But with all due respect to them as well, it's not easy just to magic up a date and say, right, we'll do it then. You've got to find a venue, you've got to try and pair it right, you've got to get showtime to make sure that they're up for putting the money in for that specific night. So,
have Golden Boy actually come out with a statement, apart from the fight's been postponed? Have they actually come out with a statement about what's been going on, or has Devin Alexander come out with anything? Because as far as I know, they haven't, have they?
They haven't. I mean, that's a little bit disappointing. But listen, everyone's got their reasons for everything. But for me, I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Mayweather might want Devin Alexander not to say anything at the moment because they're trying to drive the Guerrero deal. I don't know. The only thing that matters to me is that Kell Brook will fight for the world title in his next fight, whether it's next week or in 6 weeks. So we're solid in that position. That's not going anywhere. It's just a case of waiting now, being patient, waiting for that date. I'll speak to Golden Boy because, listen, if they can't find a date, we'll do it in England. And I'll come up with the money to do it there, But we've just got to find a way to keep Kell focused and motivated, say that, look, he's coming, and he's going to knock Devin Alexander's spark out, I'm telling you. He's in the form of his life. He's so focused. He's so strong. Ask DeMarcus Corley what he thinks. He'll give you a good idea. He's just come back from 2 weeks sparring with Kell. So, but we just wait and wait. It's frustrating. Kell's texting me 40 times a day. Any news? Any news? And it's in their hands, Golden Boy's hands at the moment, to provide us with a date. And I'm applying pressure, but it's only been a few days. You can't. You got to be realistic. You're not just going to come up with a date 2 days later, but I would think early next week we should be a lot clearer as to what's happening.
All right, Eddie, thank you very much for joining us from London. We look forward to what's going to be a great night in Belfast tomorrow night, and just a roll of shows coming in the next 3 months or so.
Ready for Rees Broner next week with you, mate?
Sorry, how could I forget Rees Broner next week? Not many people I've spoken to, if any, who are giving Gavin a chance, but listen, they've both got a set of gloves each, haven't they? So 4 corners of the ring, you never know.
He's a massive outsider. You can't say anything else. But, as I said before, he's British, European, former world champion. Gavin Rees is a very accomplished, very good fighter. And Adrian Broner, I think that there hasn't been a fighter that Broner's beaten that I wouldn't expect Rees to beat. So he's a huge outsider, big underdog, but he's a great little fighter, and he's tough as old boots, and he fancies the job. So imagine a little upset out there. How sweet would that be, eh?
Well, listen, I hope for it as much as anyone else. So, and stranger things actually have happened, i.e. Lauren Hudigan.
Yeah, and listen, to make Rees 20, 30, 40 to 1 underdog is outrageous. I mean, again, we know he's a huge underdog, but we've looked at the fight, and his team have looked at the fight. And again, when I offered the fight to Gavin Rees, before I told him the purse, he accepted it. So this is a huge opportunity, life-changing money, big shot on HBO. And what are you going to do? Keep fighting for European titles for 10 times less the money that he's getting for this fight? I mean, it's a no-brainer. You've got to go out there and you've got to try and achieve. You've got to go and be the best you can, and you've got to fight the best you can. And if it doesn't work out for Gavin, then he's going to give Broner a hell of a fight. HBO are going to love him, and he fight for another world title. But I'll take my hat off to him. And anyone that doesn't take their hat off to Gavin Rees is unambitious, and I don't really want to hear from him.
Okay, no, that's fine. Yeah.
I get the hump on Twitter with people saying, and tweeting Gavin as well, "You got no chance." He's a Brit, he's a fellow countryman going out there trying to live his dream. He knows he's in a tough fight. He don't need some bloke who's never laced up a pair of gloves to tell him he's mad for taking a fight or what. You know what I mean? I mean, you just got to have some respect for him and say, look, good luck to him. Even if you don't think he's going to win, tell him, good luck to him. I hope you do the business. Go and make a name for yourself. That's the one. I know Twitter's voice for the people and all that sort of stuff, but it just gives me the hump sometimes when why would you tweet that to him? I mean, how bitter are you that you want to tell him, a bloke who's in training for the fight of his life, that you don't think he's got a chance?
If they walk past him in the street, they probably put their head down.
No, they'll tell him he can definitely beat Adrian Broner. But listen, if you're an American or you're a Broner fan, I don't mind you tweeting Gavin Rees saying you got no chance, our man's going, but not if you're a Brit and you're a boxing fan. You should be saying good luck to you, mate. Even tough fight. I'm not sure you can do it, but I'll tell you what, go and give him hell. But anyway, that's the Twitter debate, isn't it?
Twitter debate indeed. Right. Do you know where the Nando's is in Belfast?
Actually, there's 2.
Is it really?
Yeah. So I'd just like to say as well, some bloke came up to me at the weigh-in and said, I saw you tweeting about Haribos, so they're for you. What a lovely touch. Probably laced with cyanide or something like that. But
Say thank you then.
oh, thank you to whoever that was. I'm sure he'll tweet me later, but I thought that was nice. I'm going to go and demolish him in a room now.
Don't blame you. Right, this is Cougar and Cassius with Eddie Hearn here at the Europa Hotel here in Belfast for iFilm London. Thank you very much.